Have you ever seen a liquid just freeze solid? In an instant. It sounds like something straight out of a movie, right? Well, what if I told you it's not magic at all, but a really stunning chemistry trick you could actually do at home? Today, we're going to uncover the secrets of hot ice and the absolutely incredible science behind instant crystals.
So, let's just jump right into the big question. Can a liquid actually defy what we think we know about nature and freeze solid, on command, with nothing more than a simple touch? It sounds completely impossible, but the answer is a mind-blowing yes.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is a transformation that just doesn't seem real. You start with this perfectly clear, totally normal-looking liquid, but then, with a single trigger, it goes through this complete and instantaneous change. And we're not talking about a slow, gentle freeze like you'd see in your freezer. No way. This process is unbelievably fast. As one person put it, the crystals literally explode through the liquid. It's this powerful, beautiful chain reaction that transforms the entire thing in the blink of an eye.
And you know, this is really the core of what we're talking about today. What looks for all the world like an impossible magic trick is, when you get right down to it, a brilliant and totally understandable chemical process. So let's pull back the curtain and see exactly what's going on behind the scenes.
So, what kind of crazy, exotic chemicals do you need to pull this off? You might be picturing some high-tech lab with bubbling beakers, but the truth is, this incredible reaction starts with ingredients you might literally have in your kitchen right now.
The real star of the show here is something called sodium acetate, which is basically just a type of salt. It's super easy to buy online, or, and this is the cool part, you can even make it yourself with stuff from the pantry, just vinegar and baking soda. Throw in some water, a pot to heat it in, and a clean bottle, and you've got your entire.
Now, having the right ingredients is one thing, but the real secret, the real magic, is all in the preparation. It's a pretty precise three-step method that creates something really special, a super solution. And that's just a fancy name for a liquid that's been perfectly primed for that instant transformation.
First things first, you gotta get the recipe just right. The key is to pack a ton of sodium acetate into a pretty small amount of water. We're talking about 160 grams for every 100 milliliters. This creates this incredibly concentrated, or saturated solution. And that, right there, is the foundation for the whole effect.
The process itself sounds almost too simple. First, you just heat the water and stir in all that sodium acetate until it's completely dissolved and the water's clear. But here's the most critical part. You have to let it cool all the way back down to room temperature without disturbing it at all. No bumps, no shakes, nothing. This is what creates that unstable, supercooled liquid that's just waiting for a trigger.
All right, so we've seen the what and the how, but now for the really fascinating part, the why. Why does this even work? Well, this incredible phenomenon really boils down to two key scientific ideas: supersaturation and nucleation. This is where the magic gets a really cool scientific explanation.
Okay, so first up, supersaturation. Here's an easy way to think about it. When you heat water, you're making more space between the water molecules, right? This lets you dissolve way more of that sodium acetate salt than you normally could at room temp. So, as the solution cools down, all that extra salt gets trapped. It creates this fragile, really unstable liquid that's basically holding way more than it should be able to.
Just look at the difference here. When the solution is hot, it's perfectly stable, everything's happy. But once it cools down into that supersaturated state, well, now it's like a tightly coiled spring. All those molecules are just desperate to snap back into their natural, solid crystal form. The liquid state is only temporary.
So, you have all this pent-up energy just waiting in the liquid. How do you release it? That's where our second big idea comes in: nucleation. When you touch the liquid, you're introducing what's called a nucleation site. Think of it like a tiny seed, or a starting point. It gives the first few molecules something to grab onto, and that's it. That's all it takes to trigger that massive cascading chain reaction.
And the final piece of the puzzle? Why on earth is it called hot ice? It's because as all those molecules snap into that crystal structure, they release their extra energy, and they release it in the form of heat. It's what's called an exothermic reaction, which means the solid crystal that forms actually feels warm to the touch. Pretty cool, huh?
So, understanding the science behind it is awesome. But now we get to the really fun part. See, this isn't just some one-off experiment you do in a bottle. You can actually use this process to create some absolutely incredible crystal art.
I mean, you can pour the super-cooled liquid onto a plate and just touch it to grow these amazing crystal towers right before your eyes. You could use molds to freeze it into specific shapes, or even add a little food coloring to make these beautiful, vibrant crystal sculptures. And you know what the best part is? The whole thing is totally reusable. Just melt the solid crystal back down, let it cool again, and you're ready to go all over.
It's just such a great reminder that so much of what we might call magic is really just science that we haven't quite figured out yet. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other amazing things are out there in our world, just waiting for us to uncover the incredible science that makes them happen.